Hello, it's Nikki. Welcome to part 4 of Turning 40. I've got loads of good stuff to share today, so I've got my notes ready. Let's do this. Okay, number 16, when people tell you and show you who they are, believe them. This is the flip side, I guess, of one of my, I believe, greatest traits. I am somebody who is solution orientated, and I am good in a crisis. And actually there's been many times in my life where I've had to really come up with the goods, or people have been ill, or things have happened. I don't know if I don't know why, but I've been in a lot of situations over the years where I've had to sort shit out, basically, or get somebody to a hospital, and I know that I have that capacity to be calm or find a way or work through things, or be part of that process. However, on the other side of that, I can sometimes have a tendency to keep going regardless. So this could happen, or this has happened, when people say, I'm not really into a relationship. I just want to, like, loads of women. Like, I just want to do that. And certainly in my early 20s, I used to think, well, maybe I'm the one who's going to convince them. And so I wouldn't believe what they would say. I wouldn't believe their actions when they were actually loads of other women. Interesting. Equally, when I've had people, propose collaborations, or we should work together, or we should do this, if they're not willing to meet halfway, and I've kind of overcompensated, or I've just kind of chugged on anyway, that's been a really interesting dynamic. And so when somebody has said, I don't really have time to do this properly, I've overcompensated and said, no, it's all right. No, don't worry. I'll do all of that. And then 4 months later, been really, shocked, strangely, as to why I am doing all of the things. Also, I've seen it in business a lot, and I have been in so many situations where and again, this is all my own stuff, I'm taking all responsibility for it, when I have done lots of things, and then when it comes back around, that hasn't been reciprocated. And it's a bit of a burn at the time, but you learn, and sometimes you have to learn that bloody lesson again and again and again. Number 17, the beginning and the ending of your day is really, really important. And this has been, and I was saying this to Matt, my partner, the other day, that this is sometimes the thing that I really find tricky when you're managing, because sometimes that's what it feels like you're doing. You're managing other people that live in your house. So before I had children, I was so protective of my mornings. I would go and make my cup of tea. I'd maybe read my book. And sometimes as a parent, and over the last 6 years since that's been the case, the beginning of your day is not always your own, where somebody starts saying, I need a poo, or I'm hungry, or they're crying, or something's happening, or they just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. And I've really had to manage how I start my day. And sometimes that means me getting up earlier, way before I know probably anybody's going to be awake. And I'm sure if people say, what, you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning? I really value that time. And if I get that time, and you'll have seen me if I'm ever on Instagram stories at that time, if I get that time, it's brilliant. Equally, the end of the day. I don't really put stuff in my diary in the evenings because it's just too unpredictable trying to get 2 small children to bed. And they're quite often light sleepers as well. And just that stress of knowing that I've got to put something in. And also, if I've been awake at 5, I'm not going to put something in at 9 o'clock because you're just not going to get the best of me, basically. So I've learnt that the hard way as well, that I have to know that my evenings have to be my switch off time for me. And actually, understanding the pattern and the rhythm of my day, that the evenings I don't have a lot of capacity left. I don't have a lot to give. So therefore, I manage my own expectations and I don't put loads of things in. Number 18, this is sort of linked as well. Sleep. My sleep has really, really changed over the last definitely 6 years. But beyond that, when I first got pregnant, I was so ill and sick, and I used to be sick like 20 times a day. And there used to be just like times in my pregnancy where I just like end up sleeping on the bathroom floor, not actually sleeping, but it was that moment of like, well, I guess I'll lie here. There's no point even going back to bed, because yeah, it was tricky. And so I've really learned to protect my sleep, and I don't always get brilliant sleep. And when I look at how my face has changed and my eye bags have got bigger over the last 6 or 7 years, I really have to pay attention to it. So I now don't have caffeine in the evening. I really try not to have sugar in the night, because it just keeps me awake. I'm really protective of my space, so my environment, what I see when I wake up in the morning. It's all those kind of little tweaks that, you know, seem small individually, but they really do build up and build up the picture. And I guess that's what I've really started to pay attention to, of shifting my body clock so it works for me. So yeah, there are some times where I get into bed at 8 o'clock and then wake up at 5. And, you know, there will be numerous times, I'm sure, that I'll be awake in the night. But I think this temptation, you know, whenever you hear entrepreneurs going, or I always read those things in the weekend papers or magazines where people say, I like to have lights off by 11. I mean, 11 p.m. just seems absolutely not in my agenda at the moment. But hopefully there will come a time in the next few years where I can go to the theatre, I can stay up late, and I can have a really nice time. But now is not those moments. Okay, 2 more today. Notice what feels really good in your body and own it. I remember being at primary school and at secondary school, being picked on and bullied and sort of taunted and tormented for having an apple in my packed lunchbox. Or people would say things like, oh, you're so healthy, or here you go eating rabbit food again. And I've got a really sweet tooth. I absolutely love desserts, chocolate, sweets, cake, all of it. But also, I know it makes a huge difference if I really am conscious about what I eat. And that's not about volume, because I have a good appetite. It's just making sure those basics of, am I getting lots of colours into my diet? Am I drinking loads of water? How does that feel? What do I need in the morning? So having a really big breakfast is really important to me, and it really sets me up for the day. And Matt, my partner, is the opposite. Like, he could start his food for the day at midday, and quite easily. So I've really started to notice what feels good in my body and paying attention to it, and also being willing to shake it up and to make changes and not get stuck in, well, I've always done this. Sometimes I like to do experiments where I'll give up sugar for a week and I'll check in, like, how does that make me feel? And also, when do I need sugar? When are those cravings, and how can I support my own process, really? So yeah, noticing what feels really good in your body, and also just paying attention to all those sorts of things. And based on what I was saying, I think in part 1 about decluttering and releasing, I've got rid of clothes. Like, why am I keeping hold of this thing that I don't really like? Doesn't fit great. It doesn't make me excited about putting it on. Get rid of it, move it on, pass it on to somebody, give it to charity, all of those things, paying attention to what feels good. And remember, this sense of feeling good was usually championed from the outside world. You know, society or the fashion industry want you to wear this season. If it doesn't feel good to you, if it doesn't look good to you, don't do it. Number 20. This is the final point today that I want to share. I have come to this conclusion and this realization over the last, I'm closing it up. Here we go. Story time's almost ended. I've come to this conclusion and realization over, oh gosh, I would definitely say I've actually realized it in the last couple of years. But certainly before that, when I look back on my life, I've realized I've been doing it all my life. And that's how it's kind of, it's just been so ingrained, and clearly it felt very instinctive. And that is, I process information by moving. And so whenever I feel stuck or angry or frustrated or confused, or just that sense that I need to clear my head, I always move. And for ages, I used to think, well, maybe I should write this in a journal. And actually what I need to do sometimes is walk and talk into my phone. And I'm sure people will think, what is that woman doing? Why is she talking to herself? But actually putting that into my diary of moving, of getting outside, of having that time, it's not indulgent. And I think we read so much about motherhood or women or whatever, where we have to ask permission. You know, people will say, oh, I could never exercise because I just don't have time. And I've just learnt the power of, and this is like such a 90s diet tip, isn't it? Instead of getting the bus, walk that 10-minute. But I tell you what, if I can do that, and it's so easy in London as well, you can get on a bus everywhere. We've got about 4 very near to where we are. But I've really understood my body, what I need. If I can walk for 10 minutes, it's absolutely golden. And sometimes it's just that. And realizing that I process stuff through walking. And I really love, this is really grim, really love sweating. Really love like a hot, sweaty yoga class, dance class, a run where I'm sure, again, people might be like, is that woman all right? She doesn't look well. She doesn't look like she's enjoying herself. Or even as part of a yoga class, sometimes I'll be in a weird position and I'm hating every moment of it, going, yeah, they're saying breathe, but I want it to stop immediately. I am not enjoying myself. So yeah, that is something that I factor into my week and my life and how I run things. Also, I've seen it, so if I'm going to a casting, for example, there's a bus that I quite often get off, get to Warren Street, and if my casting is in Soho, I will walk the rest of the way. So I will add on another 20 minutes, 25 minutes to my journey. And, you know, that's probably what it is to get from our house into town. But I add that on because I love that process of being able to think about things and work it through. And it helps me do a better meeting because it feels like my brain's woken up and I've got words and clever stuff to share. Thanks for listening to this one. If you are interested in making some moves and thinking, yeah, something has sparked an interest here, do get in contact with me. hello@nikkiraby.com. Let's have a chat. Let's have a 15-minute chat and let me know where you're up to in your life and your business, because you know what? It might be time for some change. And that change mode really floats my boat. So I would love to support you if I can do so. All right, that's it for today. Part 4. If you haven't listened to the other 3, you can go and listen. There's going to be 4 more in this series. So I'll catch you then.